Surprisingly, there is a connection between Jesus and making successful habits. Let's talk about it. Hey, my name is Chris Pavla, and welcome to What Jesus Says About, where Jesus speaks for himself so you can respond for yourself. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on what Jesus says about topics important to you. Topics like what Jesus says about the secret to successful habits. Now, there's a New York Times best-selling book out called Atomic Habits by a man named James Clear, and it's just a great book. He's got a fresh and innovative way of thinking about habits and making habits and sticking to habits. It's great stuff. And one of the key principles in the book Atomic Habits is that when you and I start making a habit, we tend to start with the outcome first. Like, I want to lose weight, so I look good in a swimsuit when I go to Jamaica. So then we think about the process. Well, I guess I better stop eating fried food because I have an unhealthy identity as a person. And when it comes to a habit, we tend to think outcome first, then process, then identity. And according to James, this outcome-based approach to making habits and sticking to habits is doomed to fail for a couple reasons. One, if we start the process and we don't see the progress fast enough, well, then we give up. Or two, let's say we go to Jamaica and we wear the swimsuit and we come back, well, we're gonna go back to eating fried food because we never dealt with our identity of an unhealthy person. And so according to James, instead of an outcome-based approach, the secret to successful habits is to start with your identity and work your way out. With an identity-based approach, because you identify as a healthy person, well, that means you don't eat fried food. And ta-da, now you lose 10 pounds. And after the trip to Jamaica is over, you still identify as a healthy person, so you keep those healthy habits. And so now maybe you're thinking, okay, well, Chris, this is all good and interesting, but what does this have to do with Jesus, right? Well, when we hold up this idea of identity and habits together and we think about the words of Jesus, that's where things get really interesting, because Jesus speaks to people's identity way more than he speaks to their behavior. And I don't know if you would or wouldn't consider yourself a follower of Jesus, but when you do follow him, he calls you so much more than a follower. He calls you a child of God. And he says that there's a perfect Father in heaven who cares for you deeply. He calls you his friend, not just like his acquaintance, but his friend. And he says that you are precious, a design so rare there's none like you in all the world. And he says that you are loved, so much so that he's willing to lay down his life for you. And now you tell me, what kind of habits would somebody have if that was their identity?